Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So last day I stopped with, if we have strict convexity, what will happen with respect to our Hessian determinant? If strict concavity, what will happen? If weak convexity, weak concavity, what will happen? So all these things were discussed in the last class. Now we are using several economic applications and we'll try to apply our knowledge to understand the matters, in a better way. So first I'm starting with a multi-product firm. Multi-product firm means a particular firm is, suppose, producing, soaps. It is also producing, say, garments. It is also producing, some spices. So all these kind of things. So a particular firm is producing different types of products. Okay, so all of us are familiar with Ramdev. I don't know what product his company does not produce. I found everything he is producing. Okay, so this kind of thing. First, we will consider a perfectly competitive context, and then we will consider a monopoly context. I hope you have some preliminary ideas about the perfect competition as well as monopoly, So what happens in context of perfect competition, what happens in context of monopoly? Can anyone tell me what is the main difference between perfect competition and monopoly?
Ma'am, in perfect competition,
In perfect competition, the price is set by the market, while in monopoly, the firm sets the price because there is only one firm which is
There is one
producing.
seller.
Yeah,
and there are a
very
large
good.
number of sellers in perfect.
Yes, very good. So regarding the market power, the main thing is market power. Yes, along with that, in case of perfect competition, many sellers. In case of monopoly, single seller. So all these issues are there. In one case, there is no government intervention. In other case, there may be any kind of government intervention. Perfect knowledge about the commodities. All the assumptions are there. But main thing is regarding the market power. So in case of perfect competition, firm does not have the market power. Market power means, whether the firm will be able to set the price of the commodity or not. So as you mentioned, under perfect competition from the market, the price is coming to the firm. So it is the market demand and market supply that is determining at which price the market will be cleared, and that price will be accepted by all the firms which are under the banner of a perfect competition. Whereas in case of monopoly, the producer has, full power to set the price. Okay, so this is the main difference. Very good. So first we are considering a multi-product firm, which is a competitive firm. So the second point is prices are exogenously given. So the prices are coming from the market level or the industry level. Okay, so the prices are given, for two products, the prices are P1 and P2, say. Okay, so one is garment, say, and another is wristwatch, say. Okay, or if you consider Titan, wristwatch and sunglass, so all these things. Though Titan is not competitive in that sense, Titan is oligopolistic firm. The revenue and cost functions are, the revenue function is R is equal to P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2. Okay, so this is the revenue function. So I think it will be better if you write the equations in your copy, and as we are moving, if you do the things at the same pace, in that case, everything will be understandable to you and you will be able to grasp the matter well. So generally during the offline class, we just write the equations and then start solving the entire thing. So all these ideal things will be not possible in the online class. However, if you start doing the things, it will be better understandable, I think. So revenue function is P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2. Okay. Remember that these P1 and P2 are not functions of Q1 and Q2. When we will go for multi-product firm, when the firm is monopoly firm, in that case, this P1 and P2 will be again functions of Q1 and Q2. However, under perfect competition, since P1 and P2 are exogenously given, in that case, P1 and P2 will be treated as constants. These are not functions of Q1 and Q2. Okay. The cost function combines both the commodities, because in the plant, or in the factory of Titan, both the commodities are produced, So cost function consists of cost incurred to produce wristwatch and cost incurred to produce sunglass. Okay. So cost function consists of both the commodities 1 and 2. And we are giving a simple cost function 2Q1 square plus Q1 Q2 plus 2Q2 square. This is the typical cost function we are considering. You have
Ma'am, then the cost function is written like that.
Cost function is given to us in this format. Actually, when we are learning the basic things, always, we keep some functions which is very easily differentiable, etc. Okay, so you don't need to bother about the cost function, because cost function will be given to you. What will be the structure of the cost function, that will be given to you. Okay, so next we are considering the marginal cost equations. Marginal cost means change in cost due to change in 1 unit production of first commodity, or change in cost due to change in 1 unit production of the second commodity. Okay, so there are del C by del Q1. We can take derivative of C with respect to Q1, considering Q2 to be a constant, and that is becoming 4Q1 plus Q2. In the similar fashion, we can derive del MC by del Q2, change in cost due to change in 1 unit production of sunglass, say. So del C by del Q2, that is again 4Q2 plus Q1. Now, if you look at both the marginal costs, if you look at both the marginal costs, marginal cost of producing wristwatch is function of both wristwatch and sunglass. Similarly, marginal cost of producing sunglass is a function of both wristwatch and sunglass. So all these things are happening. So del C by del Q1 and del C by del Q2, both are functions of Q1 and Q2. So this is the speciality of multi-product firm. Thus, the two products are technically related in production. Okay, the products are technically related in production. Okay, so later we will, in context of monopoly, typically we will discuss a concept, when we will go for multi-plant monopoly, you will find that the firm will change the production process, how much wristwatch it will produce or how much sunglass it will produce. That will depend on marginal costs. As long as you find that marginal cost of producing one commodity is lesser compared to other, continuously firm will shift resources to the firm where marginal cost is lesser. And when the marginal cost of two firms or two products rather, will be equalized, in that case, the firm will stop shifting the resources. Okay. However, those things I'll introduce in context of multi-plant farm. Here I am not bringing those issues. Here the problem is simple. we are finding that marginal costs are related to both the commodities. Next, we are considering the typical profit equation. Profit equation, as you know, the total revenue minus total cost. So simply I am putting the revenue function P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2, and the total cost function is given by this. So minus 2Q1 square minus Q1 Q2 minus 2Q2 square. So this is the required profit equation for the multi-product farm. Actually, the farm is a two-product farm. For simplicity, we are considering two products. Thus, the profit function is a function of two choice variables, Q1 and Q2. Profit function is a function of two choice variables, Q1 and Q2. So what we have to do from this profit function? We have to find out Q1 star and Q2 star first. What are the profit maximizing levels of outputs, Q1 star and Q2 star? Once we get Q1 star and Q2 star, we will be able to derive pi star. P1 and P2 are given to us. So once we get profit maximizing level of outputs, we will be able to find out pi star. What is the optimum of profit? Okay. And then we have to check the second order condition to ensure, yes, this profit is maximum. Okay. So once we get this profit equation, we will derive two first order conditions, del pi by del Q1 and del pi by del Q2. So I'll request everyone to find out del pi by del Q1 from this expression and del pi by del Q2 and check whether you are getting these two equations or not. Are you doing the things?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Simply find out del pi by del Q1 and del pi by del Q2. And expressions are in front of you. Do this thing on your own and check whether you are exactly getting these two equations or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Once you get the equations, simultaneously solving these two equations, I hope you will be able to find out Q1 star and Q2 star. If it is a numerical exercise, P1 and P2 will be given to you. So you will be able to find out the numerical values of Q1 star and Q2 star. Are you understanding the matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so simultaneously solving two equations, we get the values of Q1 star and Q2 star. So here you have two equations. So solve these two equations and find out Q1 star and Q2 star. P1 and P2 you bring in the right hand side because Q1 star and Q2 star will come in terms of P1 and P2, the parameters. Once you get the value, please let me know.
Yes,
it?
ma'am. Done.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
So what is Q1 star?
4P1 minus P2 by 15.
Okay. And what is Q2 star?
4P2 minus P1 over 15.
Yes. So these are the two values.
Yeah, go to
So you got these values.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now if we know P1 is equal to 12 and P2 is equal to 18, and if we put the values there, we are getting exact values of Q1 star and Q2 star. These are given by 2 and 4. Now if P1 is 12 and P2 is 18, Q1 star is equal to 2 and Q2 star is equal to 4. Please find out your pi star. Put these values here. put the values in the profit equation and find out the profit.
Ma'am, 48.
48.
48.
Yes. So up to this, it is complete, you know, the first order condition, finding the output levels, finding the profit. However, we will be not able to claim whether this profit is a maximum or a minimum unless and until we check the second order condition. So in the next step, we have to check the second order condition. Okay. So for the second order condition, what we need to prove whether the function is strictly convex or concave.
Yes, ma'am.
Concave.
Concave. Hessian.
Yes, the function is strictly concave. Okay, so what in terms of Hessian we need to prove?
H1 must be less than 0 and H2 must be greater than 0.
Okay,
Basically, they have to alternate in sign with the first leading principal minor being negative.
negative. Very good. Okay, so once we get up to this optimum profit, we have to go for the second order condition. We have to go for the second order condition. So for second order condition, we consider the Hessian determinant. We consider the Hessian determinant. Now to find out the Hessian determinants or to conclude about the Hessian determinants, what we need to do, we need to find out pi 1, 1, pi 1, 2, pi 2, 1 and pi 2, 2. Now by Young's rule, pi 1, 2 will be exactly equal to pi 2, 1. So once we get pi 1, 2, we will write the value and that we will set equal to pi 2, 1, and in the side we will put the command by Young's theorem, okay, by Young's rule. So that will be the thing. So from these expressions, you know, pi 1 is already there, del pi by del q1 and del pi by del q2. So please find out pi 1, 1, pi 1, 2, which is equal to pi 2, 1 and pi 2, 2. So please find out the expressions. Del square pi by del q1 square, del square pi by del q1 del q2, that will be equal to del square pi by del q2 del q1. And you have to find out del square pi by del q2 square. Should I write it in the board or you are understanding the matters? Is there anyone for whom, you know, it will be better if I write it?
Ma'am, can you please write it?
Could you please tell me the values?
Ma'am, -4, -1, -1 and -4.
-4. First one is -4.
Pi 1, 1. Yeah.
-1.
-1.
And this is?
-4.
-4.
Okay. So H1. H1 are nothing but pi 1 1 and pi 2 2. Would you please solve this determinant?
Ma'am, it's 15.
So leading principal minors are altering in sign starting with negative in this case. Everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Pi
Negative.
1 pi 2 to negative, pi 1 to pi 1, H2, date H2, that is 15, which is positive. So leading principal minors are altering in sign starting with negative. So hence the derived profit is a maximum profit, the derived profit is a maximum profit. Okay, and then you need to add, this point I sent you. Since the signs of the leading principal minors do not depend on where they are evaluated, that is, the Hessian matrix is everywhere a negative definite. Once you get this kind of thing, you can safely write this is negative definite everywhere. The function must be strictly concave and pi star is also a global maximum. Okay, so you can add this part. So up to this is fine, pi star is the profit, 48 is the maximizing profit. And in case of the Hessian determinant, since it is based on principal minors, and these leading principal minors do not depend on where they are evaluated, we can consider this maximum as the global maximum. So this is all about, if there is a multi-product, perfectly competitive firm, how we will solve for its profit and how we will check whether the profit is a maximum or not. Next, we will solve the similar kind of problem, However, instead of a perfectly competitive firm, here we will consider a monopolist. So if the firm is a monopolist, as you mentioned, there will be market power. So firm will be able to determine the price of the commodity, prices of the commodity, because here also we are considering two product firm. So firm has capacity to determine the prices. So prices are no longer given exogenously, rather monopolist faces the two market demand curves given by Q1 is equal to 40 minus 2P1 plus P2. So please write down the equations, multi-product monopoly. Write down the two equations. Q1 is equal to 40 minus 2P1 plus P2. Q2 is equal to 15 plus P1 minus P2. We consider or we assume the commodities are substitute to each other. Okay. So monopolist is producing two commodities. These commodities are substitute to each other. The increase in price of one commodity increase the demand for other. That if the commodities are substitutes, what will be the rule? What will be the principle? That So we are considering the commodities are substitute to each other. Say tea and coffee. This kind of commodity. So monopolist is producing these two commodities. Okay. Now stop a while, look at the equations. Here the equations, when we are writing the equations, it is in terms of P1 and P2. So the demand equations are given in the form Q1 is equal to 40 minus 2P1 plus P2, etc. Now, when you will try to maximize the profit, both the revenue function as well as the cost function should be given in terms of Q. Q or Q1, Q2, Q1, Q2, Q3, etc. So revenue and cost functions should be written in terms of Q. Okay? Because if you consider P1 into Q1 plus P2 into Q2, this will give you 40 P1 minus 2 P1 square plus P2 P1, that kind of thing. And you know, from P2 Q2, again you will get this kind of thing. When you will consider the MR and MC, for MR and MC, you need to take derivative in terms of Q, not in terms of P. So if you get the equation in this form, first you convert P, you know, first you write the equations as P1 as a function of Q1, Q2 and P2 as function of Q1, Q2. Okay. So in the first few steps, first you have to do this thing. You need to write P1 as a function of Q1, Q2 and P2 as a function of Q1, Q2. You can do it simply by substituting, or you can take help of Cramer's rule, whatever you like. Okay. So you can consider, actually, as long as you have two equations, easily using the substitution principle, you will be able to do everything. However, if the number of equation increases, that is the form is a 3-product form, 4-product form, 5-product form, in that case, application of the Cramer's rule will be easier. Okay. So maximum, you know, you will have 3 products when you will solve the numerical exercises, etc. So you can practice the Cramer's rule to derive the equations. You know how to do these things using the Cramer's rule, I hope. And you can do it using the substitution as you want. However, you need to bring P1 and P2 in terms of Q1 and Q2. So please bring P1 and P2 in terms of Q1 and Q2. You can use substitution here instead of using Cramer's rule, because here you have 2 commodities. So all of you are aware of Cramer's rule. Do you know Cramer's rule?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I think Cramer's rule is the part of your course, mathematical economics course, this semester course. And ZH, I think, has done this thing by this time. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here anyway you can do. It's not necessary that you have to apply Cramer's rule. However, please write the equations in this format using substitution or Cramer's rule. And once you get these things, please confirm whether the equations are right. Are you getting these forms?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Only 2 people got it, or everybody is getting this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. So these are the 2 average revenue curves faced by the monopolist. Are you okay with this sentence? These are the 2 average revenue curves.
Can you explain why these are coming to be?
What is your question?
Ma'am, can you explain why these 2 are coming to be the AR curve?
What is the formula for TR, Udita? Just formula for TR?
Ma'am, it is total revenue is equal to P into the average revenue.
P into average revenue. What is the formula for TR? Simply tell me what is the formula for TR, any TR. Total revenue.
And price into average revenue.
Price into average revenue.
PQ.
P into Q. From where you are getting price into average revenue? Any TR is P into Q. Any TR. Equation to TR. Every time. Okay, this P may be function of Q, may not be function of Q depending on the context. However, this is always the equation for TR. Now, what is AR?
P into Q by Q.
So this is equal to P. Average revenue is TR by quantity. So always it is equal to P. This P may be constant under perfect competition. This P is a function of Q under monopoly. Okay. So AR is always the price function. Are you getting this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it now understandable to everyone why I am writing these two as AR blocks?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these P1 and P2 are the average revenue curves. Okay, because every price equations are nothing but the average revenue curves, and that is also the demand curves. For monopolies, the demand curve is the average revenue curves. P equation, willingness to pay, that line, that is the demand curve. Demand curve is equivalent to average revenue curve, is equivalent to willingness to pay curve, or is equivalent to price line. So the total revenue function that is given by R is equal to P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2. So please find out your P1 Q1 and P2 Q2. Final expression for total revenue in terms of Q1 and Q2. As I mentioned, why we are doing all these things, because in the next step, when we will try to find out profit maximization, that is, we will like to set MR is equal to MC. All these MR, MC or profit maximization will be done or should be done in terms of Q, not in terms of P. So I hope everybody is here. R is equal to 55 Q1 plus 70 Q2 minus 2 Q1 Q2 minus Q1 square minus 2 Q2 square. Everybody is here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we need a cost function. Now we need a cost function. And once we get a cost function, we will be able to write the profit function. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we need a cost function. Okay. So please write down the same cost function. If the cost function is given by C is equal to Q1 square plus Q1 Q2 plus Q2 square.
Ma'am, can you show the previous slide once again?
I think you will be able to do these things on your own. Let me first tell these things and then I'll go back. So this is the cost function. And once you get the cost function, you write down the profit equation, which is R minus C. So R is here. 55 Q1 plus 70 Q2 minus 2 Q1 Q2 minus Q1 square minus 2 Q2 square. This is R. And this is C. So R minus C. Find out R minus C. and check whether you are getting this expression 55q1 plus 70q2 minus 3q1 q2 minus 2q1 square minus 3q2 square. The choice variables are q1 and q2. Remember, in these market economics, the choice variables are q1 and q2. So everybody is getting this profit equation using the revenue and the cost expression.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So once you get this equation, you have to find out del pi by del q1 that you set equal to 0, del pi by del q2 that you set equal to 0, and find out q1 star and q2 star. Okay. So somebody needed this slide, So please find out del pi by del q1, del pi by del q2, set the values to be equal to 0 and find the optimum q1 star and q2 star. Now for a monopolist, once you get q1 star and q2 star using these two equations, P1 is equal to 55 minus Q1 minus Q2 and P2 is equal to 70 minus Q1 minus 2Q2. You need to find out P1 star, P2 star. Once you get Q1 star, Q2 star, you need to find out P1 star and P2 star, because here price is a function of output. It is not given. So your task is to find out Q1 star, Q2 star first, then P1 star, P2 star, and then pi star. Once you get the value of Q1 star and Q2 star, please let me know.
Ma'am, is it 8 and 25 by 3?
Yes, ma'am, I'm getting the same.
Is it?
Yes, ma'am, it's 8 and 25 by 3.
Right, Q1 star is equal to 8, Q2 star is equal to 25 by 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me check. Yes, 8 and 25 by 3. These are the right answers. Okay. So find out P1 star and P2 star using these two equations. I'm repeating, here you need to solve for prices because this is the monopoly context. Here the prices are functions of output. The values are not that good, Check whether these are 39 1/3, 46 2/3, and profit is 488 1/3.
Ma'am,
Yes.
Q2 23 by 3 আছে।
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম
Ma'am, 23 by
Ma'am,
3.
23 by 3.
হ্যাঁ
P1 star.
No, ma'am, Q2.
Q2 star.
Q2 star. हाँ.
P2 star at 20, P by
3 by
3.
yes.
हाँ, हाँ.
দেখো এইটাই হবে because some people got this answer and I also got this
It-
value.
Yes, ma'am. Because if we are putting 25 by 3, then we are getting 488 to be the not 488, 488 to and one third to be the
But that's
profit.
that's a different thing. First, some people are telling that the value is not 25 by 3, that is something else. So first we need to clear that. Once we get this value, in that case, this value will come. Otherwise, the value will change. No problem. Some people are getting this to be 23 by 8.
23 by 3.
3 by 3.
23 by 3.
By 3. Instead of 25 by 3, you are getting 23 by 3. So would you please check again?
If we put 8 in the first equation, we get 23.
So
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
23 by 3 then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, no problem. These are the numerical things. So we need to check it once again. No problem. And if you get 23 by 3, accordingly, you have to find out P1 star, P2 star, and pi star. Okay. So whatever value is the right one, you have to do the things in that.
Ma'am, if we get 23 by 3, then we are getting that P1 star is 39.33, P2 star is 46.66.
Okay. And pi star will be very close to this. Okay, so most of the people are getting 23 by 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm getting 25 by 3. So should I redo it?
No, at this moment you don't need, because we are learning the matters. Just একটা question mark put করে রাখো. Later you will check it, or I'll also check it. Just put a question mark, because now we are learning the things. Okay, so I think all these things are understandable and solvable. So in the next step, we have to consider the second order derivative. So as I did in the earlier case, so that kind of thing you need to do. This kind of thing you have to find out pi 1 1. Find out your pi 1 1, pi 1 2, pi 2 2, and tell me what will be the values.
Ma'am, -4, -3, -3, and -6.
-4. Pi 1 1 is -4. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
-3.
-3.
Pi 2 1 is also -3.
And pi 2 2 is -6.
-6.
-3, -6. Okay. So pi 1 1 and pi 2 2 less than 0, and this you need to solve.
Ma'am, ma'am, this answer will also be 15 and it will be greater than 0.
Yes. If it is 15, it is definitely greater than 0. -4, -3, -3, -6. 6 into 4, 24, -9. Okay, so second order condition is satisfied, and hence the derived profit is a maximum profit. Okay, so Hessian is this, and then you will conclude thus the Hessian matrix is a negative definite and pi star is a maximum profit. And also you can add the sentence which will indicate it is a global maximum. Okay, and then homework is added. To product firm faces the following demand function, find the output levels that satisfy the first order condition for profit maximization. Check the second order sufficient condition. Can you conclude that this possesses a unique absolute maximum, that is the global maximum? And what is the maximum profit? Okay, so this is one exercise, that you need to solve in context of this one so that you will be able to practice. So complete this one. Is there any question? Anyone, any question? No question?
Ma'am, I have a question. What does negative definite mean?
Negative?
Negative definite.
Please check the last.
Negative definite.
Please check
From
last.
the
All these things are there. Okay. Positive definite. What is meant by positive definite? Positive semi-definite. Negative definite. Negative semi-definite. So please check all these things from last day's class.
ম্যাম এই কোশ্চেনটা কি বইতে ছিল?
I think so.
Okay.
Otherwise, you will have the record with you. So from there, you check this thing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, I'm moving to another case. Monopolist with price discrimination. Okay. Actually, in this context, in context of unconstrained, invariable unconstrained optimization, we are learning several contexts where we will be able to either maximize profit or maximize revenue. Because rest of the problems, that is utility maximization, cost minimization, output maximization, these will come under constraint optimization. Because utility will be maximized subject to the income constraint. Not only the indifference curve will help us, we need the budget line too. Similarly, in context of production function, to maximize output, we need the cost constraint, or to minimize cost, we need the output constraint. Okay, so simply ISO quant will not help us. We need the ISO cost line too to find out the equilibrium. So all those kind of problems will come under constraint optimization. However, the issues related to profit or revenue maximization, these are coming under invariable unconstrained optimization. So I'm introducing different contexts where will go for profit maximization, etc. So we just finished two cases, the multi-product firm, perfect competition, and monopoly. And next we are shifting to the idea of price discrimination. So first, we need to understand what is meant by price discrimination. Now, price discrimination is a context, when a firm is charging different prices in different markets. A firm is charging different prices in different markets. Now, this will come under the heading of monopoly, because under perfect competition, price is given, and the price which will be accepted by the firms will be the market clearing price. So the issue of price discrimination is not coming under perfect competition. The issue of price discrimination is coming under monopoly when the seller has absolute power to determine the price. So what happens in case of price discrimination? If we find that the demand for umbrella that is, quite inelastic in certain zones because of the geographical causes, or environmental reason. Price of umbrella is inelastic in certain region. However, it is not that inelastic in other region. And if there is sole producer of umbrella, in that case, I may charge high price for umbrella in the market where the demand is inelastic, and relatively lower price where the demand is elastic. Demand inelastic means I do not have any alternative. Demand inelastic means if there is a change in price, the demand will not change much, because the response of demand with respect to any change in price, that will be minimal. However, demand elastic means response of demand with respect to any change in price will be substantive. This indicates maybe I have substitutes, or because of the geographical region, because of the nature, I don't need the commodity that much. Okay. So if there is a sole producer of a commodity and the producer finds that because of certain reasons, the demand is quite inelastic in this zone, whereas the demand is elastic in different zone, in that case, looking at the difference in elasticities, the monopolist can charge different prices in different markets. This issue is known as price discrimination. Price discrimination. In the next semester, when you will learn more about the market economics, you will find that this particular type of price discrimination is called the third degree price discrimination. Third degree price discrimination. There may be context that monopolist is charging different price to different individual. Okay, those who are buyer of the commodity or the service, all are charged different prices. Okay, so this may be the context. For doctors, for lawyers, many a times we get this kind of thing. Different people are charged in different ways. So this is called the first degree price discrimination. Individually, the people will be charged in a different way. The second possibility is, if you buy 5 units of a commodity, you will be charged by this amount. However, if you buy the commodity by 10 units, in this case, the price will be, or rate of price will be something else, bit lower. That is, if you buy 5 units, the per unit charge will be, say, 100 rupees. However, if you buy a 200 units block, in that case, the per unit price will be, say, 88 rupees. This is the idea. there is a difference between the retail market and the wholesale market. In the wholesale market, you have to buy the commodity in bulk. Okay. And when you are buying the commodity in bulk, in that case, per unit price will be bit lesser compared to the retail market, where you are buying lesser amount and charged bit higher. So this is also an example of price discrimination if the producer is the sole producer of the commodity. Okay, this is called the second degree price discrimination. So first degree price discrimination is the context when individual will be charged in a different way. Second degree price discrimination is the context when there will be block pricing. For one block, the price will be this. For several blocks, the price will be other. The third degree price discrimination is the context which we are discussing here. Depending on different elasticities of the market for the same commodity, monopolist is charging different prices. Okay, so this third degree price discrimination is a concept related to the market. More specifically, it is related to the different elasticities of demand in different markets. A very good example is the context when a producer is selling both in the domestic market and in the foreign market. So it may happen that in the domestic market, the producer is the sole producer. Whereas when you are considering the international market, the producer is one among many. So in the domestic market, if you consider the country, in the domestic market, the producer is a sole producer. There is no substitute for this commodity. Producer is a sole producer. However, when he or she is exporting the commodity, he or she is facing a lot of competition because in the international market, the firm is just a competitive firm. So in that case, what will happen? In the domestic market, the price will be bit high, whereas in the international market, the price will be the given price, internationally settled price. Okay, so I can show you a graph. I don't know why the pen box is disturbing. Okay. Is the diagram visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this red curve, the red curve is the demand curve or the average revenue curve or the price line in the domestic market. Whereas this green curve is the demand curve in the international market. Now, under perfect competition, the average revenue or the demand curve will be a straight line parallel to the x-axis. The seller can sell any amount he or she like at the given price. Okay, so if the monopolist is a perfectly competitive firm in the international market, the monopolist will face a horizontal, this kind of horizontal demand curve in the international market. Whereas in the domestic market, he is a sole producer. So the demand curve is given by the red negatively sloped line. Okay. Now, the aggregate demand curve is given by the blue line. So we are actually this part is not relevant. Again, this green part is not relevant. What is relevant is this negatively sloped part and these
Ma'am, your
horizontal
voice is cracking.
Your voice is breaking.
line. Yeah, what is your question?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
your
your
voice
voice
was
is cracking.
breaking.
Okay, okay, okay. Is it okay to all of you? Aggregate demand curve is a kinked line or
Ma'am, your voice is breaking very badly.
curve given by the blue line. Are you getting this? Okay. The internet connection is fine.
Ma'am, we couldn't hear anything.
Okay, I'm trying. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm telling that in the international market, the demand curve is given by the horizontal green line, whereas in the domestic market is given by the red line. The bottom portion of the red line is not relevant because the aggregate demand curve is given by this kinked line. First it is negatively sloped and then it is horizontal. Is it understandable?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, could you please repeat once why the demand curve in international market is horizontal?
Because the monopolist is one of many seller in the international market. In the international market, the monopolist is behaving just like a perfectly competitive firm. So if it behaves just like a competitive firm, what will be the shape of the demand curve? It will be a line parallel to the quantity axis.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Aggregate demand curve is given by the kinked blue line. Okay? Now, if we have this rising MC, this kind of rising marginal cost curve, this marginal cost curve is cutting the marginal revenue curve at this point. For a monopolist, for equilibrium, we need marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. I think you learned this in the first semester. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So MR is equal to MC. This happens at this point. At this point, we are getting MR is equal to MC. So the equilibrium quantity will be settled here and price will be given by this, by the demand curve. So this is the domestic price. Whereas in the international market, price is given because it behaves like a competitive firm. So international price is quite low compared to the domestic price. This is the domestic price. And this is the price which is given in the international market. So what we are finding that the monopolist is practicing different prices in different markets. So the monopolist is a discriminating monopolist. All these micro issues again you will learn in the next semester. However, to introduce the issue of price discrimination, I am telling you all these points. Okay? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so first there is an introduction for the discriminating monopolies. You know what is meant by price discrimination. A monopolist can charge different prices for the same product if price elasticities are different in different markets. For example, a monopolist may sell his product in the domestic market as well as foreign market. In domestic market, he is a sole producer of the commodity and thereby faces a negatively sloped market demand curve. Whereas in the international market, he is one of many producers and thereby faces a perfectly competitive environment where the demand curve is perfectly elastic or parallel to the horizontal axis. Thus, the monopolist will charge higher price in domestic market and a lower price in the international market for the same product. Here, I hope you are understanding the elasticities are varying. In the domestic market, the elasticity is comparatively inelastic, whereas in the foreign market, it is perfectly elastic because the demand curve is parallel to the horizontal axis. The situation will change if producer faces perfect competition in the domestic market and monopoly in the foreign market. So it may happen the producer is one of many in the domestic market. However, he or she is a monopolist in the foreign market. Okay. Hand paint, hand painted leather bags, say, or this kind of some kind of artistic or elements or stitched clothes, okay, of special kind of stitching. So in your country you may face a competition. However, when you are bringing this kind of commodities in the foreign market, it is very, very unique. Okay. So all these things may happen. That is, in the domestic market, the producer is facing a competitive market, whereas in the foreign market, the producer is a sole producer of the commodity. Okay. The same practice may prevail in two or more domestic markets if the price elasticities of demand differs in different markets. Okay, as I mentioned, in the domestic market too, it is not necessary that you have to consider a domestic as well as a foreign market. You can consider different domestic markets too. If the price elasticities varies because of geographical, environmental, cultural reason, etc., in that case also the monopolist will be able to charge different prices in different markets. So whenever this situation will appear, that is because of difference in price elasticities of demand, the producer can charge different market prices. This is called the price discrimination. Is it all right to all of you? Are you understanding what is the meaning of price discrimination?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there can be many more examples. You will find that telephonic charge is quite high in the busy period and it is quite low in the early morning and late night. Did you get this? Do you know this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is the concept of busy hour and leisure hours. In the busy hour, demand is too much. Demand is inelastic for this, for the electricity, for telephonic service, etc. So charge will be something. And in leisure hours, the charge may be different because the demand is quite elastic during that time period. Okay, so if somebody is a sole producer, charge different prices at different time of the day.
Ma'am, so this will be which kind of price discrimination, like which degree?
All this will come under the third degree. When
Third.
on difference in elasticities, we are charging different prices. In that case, we will call it third degree price discrimination.
Okay, ma'am.
For simplicity, we consider an economy where monopolist faces two markets for the same product, where the price elasticities are different. That is, there is a market where the demand is more elastic, and in the other market, the demand is less elastic. Suppose the monopolist charges the price P1 in market 1 and sells Q1 amount in the market, and charges price P2 and sells Q2 in the market 2. So if I write the revenue equation, it will be R equal to R1 as a function of Q1, because a part of revenue is coming from market 1, plus R2 as a function of Q2, because another part of revenue is coming from market 2. Whereas total cost is given by C, which is a function of Q only, aggregate output Q1 plus Q2. Why? Because here there is a single plant, and from that particular factory or plant, the monopolist is producing the entire amount. Depending on market elasticities, when the commodities are going to the market or will be sold in the market, the prices will be different. However, unit cost of producing each of the unit will be same, because this is the same product. I'm producing, say, 1,000 tons, and among this, 800 tons I am selling in market 1 and 200 tons I am selling in market 2. So this is the concept. However, production will take place in the same factory and the commodity is identical. Okay. Therefore, the cost will be function of the aggregate output Q1 plus Q2. So it is a function of Q only. So if we write the profit equation will be R1 Q1 plus R2 Q2 minus CQ. Next, once we get the profit equation, as you know, we have to consider the first order and the second order conditions. So I'll consider del pi by del Q1, which is R1 prime Q1 minus C prime Q del Q by del Q1, which we can write as simply equal to R1 prime Q1 minus C prime Q, as in Q there is Q1 plus Q2. So del Q by del Q1 is equal to 1. Pi 2 is equal to R2 prime Q2 minus C prime Q del Q by del Q2. Following the same logic, it is equivalent to R2 prime Q2 minus C prime Q. Setting these equal to 0 by the first order condition of profit maximization, we will be able to set this equal to 0. So we will get R1 prime Q1 is equal to C prime Q and R2 prime Q2 is equal to C prime Q. So simultaneously, the first order condition, two first order conditions can be written as marginal cost is equal to MR1 is equal to MR2. Marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue of market 1 is equal to marginal revenue of market 2. Is it understandable, the first order condition? Is it clear to all of you?
Ma'am, I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
Yes, one by one.
Ma'am,
Yes.
firstly, when we derive the market condition MR is equal to MC in both monopoly and domestic market, we considered the revenue and cost function individually. That is, pi 1 is equal to say R1Q minus C1Q, and then we are deriving that MR is equal to MC, means in monopoly. And similarly,
I have a unique profit equation. I have a unique profit equation pi. Okay. And then I am setting del pi by del Q1 is equal to 0. Here, Q2 is not a function of Q1, and similarly, Q1 is not a function of Q2. In case of multi-product monopolies or multi-product firm, Q1, or when you got P1, that was function of Q1, Q2. Okay, here the context is different. Here, I am producing the total amount, a part I am bringing in one market and another part I am bringing in the another market. So I have a unique profit equation. Pi is equal to R1 Q1 plus R2 Q2. This one indicates first firm and this one indicates the second firm. Okay. So these are not partials. These are first firm and the second firm. Now we are setting the first order conditions as del pi by del Q1, both with respect to selling of Q1 and selling of Q2. I'll maximize my profit. So it is del pi by del Q1 is equal to 0, which I am writing as pi 1 partial derivative. Okay, this is not the profit in the first market. This one is for partial. So if there is any confusion, please write it as del pi by del Q1. Okay, this is del pi by del Q1. This is del pi by del Q2. I am writing 2. Ayan, is it okay?
yes, ma'am, I thought we are taking individual profits.
Yes. Okay, so del pi by del Q1, that is R1 prime Q1 minus C prime Q, del Q by del Q1. Okay. And del pi by del Q2 is given by this expression. So setting these equal to 0, we are getting MC is equal to MR1 and MC is equal to MR2, or we can write the thing as MC is equal to MR1 is equal to MR2. Okay, MC is equal to MR1 is equal to MR2. So that is the equilibrium condition of a discriminating monopolist is given by MC is equal to MR1 is equal to MR2. Thus, while distributing the output in two markets, the levels of Q1 and Q2 should be such that marginal revenue in each market is equal to the marginal cost of the total output Q. That means MC should be individually equal to MR1 and MC should be individually equal to MR2. So I am rereading the sentence. While distributing the output in two markets, that is how much I'll bring in market 1, how much I'll bring in market 2. To find out these Q1 and Q2, I have to consider MC is equal to MR1 and MC is equal to MR2. With the output, we will get MC is equal to MR1. I'll bring it in market 1. With the output, MC is equal to MR2. I'll bring the output in market 2. So that is the idea. That is the idea. Okay. Now I'll go back to the diagram and this one. Okay. So here the MC is such a typical MC that the entire output will be sold in this market, So I want to draw another diagram where I'll be able to show you the distribution of total commodity. I don't know whether there is an easier way to rub on this. Actually, when we are going for application, so much micro and macro are coming. That is the problem with the Matheco teaching. So this is the domestic demand. This is the corresponding MR. This is the foreign demand, competitive, facing the competition. And along this line, AR is equal to MR. So this is foreign. This is domestic. Okay. The relevant demand, as I mentioned, will be given by this line, the kinked red line. This is the aggregate demand curve. And corresponding marginal revenue curve will be given by
Ma'am, can you explain how we got this aggregate demand?
because in the domestic market, as long as the, this is the horizontal sum, this is the horizontal sum. So this is the foreign demand. So for this commodity, when the lines are crossing each other, before this price, before this particular price, you can sell any amount here using these things, depending on your MC, etc. You can sell any amount along this path in the domestic market. However, when you are facing a different elasticity and when the lines are cutting each other, when the price is coming to this level, you will sell only in the foreign market. Only in the foreign market. Okay? Because when the price is this much, that is equivalent to the competitive price you are getting in the foreign market. So during this zone, if you get some price from the domestic market, you will sell an amount in the domestic market. And when price falls at this amount, you will only sell in the foreign market, because in the foreign market, you are getting this competitive price. So if you add these demand curve, the violet one with the orange one, you are getting the red one. Ayan, got the point?
Ma'am, so where is the point where we are selling in both the markets? The red one shows only the monopoly and the yellow one shows only the perfect competition.
Yes, yes. Now I am showing you the thing, But before that, first I want to tell something about the marginal revenue curve. So corresponding to these part, corresponding to these red part, the relevant marginal revenue will be this one. Rest of the marginal revenue line will be, redundant. Rest of the marginal revenue line will be redundant, as when the price falls to the competitive level, the firm will follow this average revenue line, and for this average revenue line, MR is equal to AR. So the yellow line will give us the marginal revenue line. The yellow line will give us the marginal revenue line. So marginal revenue, is it understandable? So first you check whether you are understanding the aggregate average revenue curve and aggregate marginal revenue curve. Is it okay to all of you? Aggregate demand curve and aggregate marginal revenue curve, is it understandable?
Ma'am, could you explain this once more?
Okay, I think, do you have Pindick and Rubenfeld with you? Everybody has that book?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think it will be best if you please check the price discrimination part, how the curves will be drawn, how the aggregate demand is derived, So the things will be more clear to all of you, because, when we discuss it during the micro theory, a single day we spend on price discrimination. However, as a part of the mathematical economics, I am telling you, and the flow of the entire thing which is related to the mathematical thing, how to optimize, how to derive the result, that will be, disturbed if we continuously try to understand, what are the micro issues behind this. So I think before coming to the next class, you should go through the issue related to the price discrimination when it is related to third degree price discrimination. First degree and the second degree, you don't need to cover at this moment. Just check the third degree price discrimination. What is happening? How we derive the aggregate average revenue curve, how we derive the corresponding marginal revenue curve. So first you go through these things, and then whatever problem you have, that I'll check. Okay, that I'll check. I think that will be easier to understand. First you do this thing, and then I'll incorporate the marginal cost here, and I'll show you how the output will be distributed between the two firms, the foreign firm and the domestic firm, or if there are two elasticities, how the output will be distributed. Okay, so it will be easier to understand. So let me stop here regarding the micro theory at this point. Just check all these things, go through this thing, and then we will come back with the second diagram. Okay, and I think it will be easier to answer to your questions, how we will use MC in the next step to determine how much will be sold in the domestic market, how much will be sold in the foreign market, and so on. Okay.
Ma'am, can you tell me what is the yellow line?
Yellow line is the marginal revenue curve corresponding to the new aggregate demand curve. As long as we are following, this part of the demand, that is, as long as we are following this part of the average revenue, the corresponding marginal revenue will be given by this. And starting from this point, the demand curve is merging with the competitive line. So coming at this point, which is corresponding to this, when I'm coming to this point of the marginal revenue, it will follow the line which is under perfect competition. Under perfect competition, AR is equal to MR. So we are following that line. And under monopoly, the MR is intersecting this angle. So this is the MR. So corresponding to this red zone, this yellow part, this part will be the MR. And as this part starts, the MR will merge with AR. Okay, as price drops down to the competitive level, MR will be equal to AR. As long as price remains higher to that level, the marginal revenue will be corresponding to the negatively sloped red demand part. And as price drops to the orange level, that is the competitive level, MR will be the yellow flat line. Are you getting the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I have to bring MC here, and I have to find out how much will be sold in the domestic market, how much will be sold in the foreign market. So first you check that piece from Pindyck and Rubenfeld, third degree price discrimination, and next day I'll talk about this. Next day I'll talk about this. So I will like to complete the mathematical part. However, I'll start from price discrimination in the next class too. Okay, so this mathematical thing you understood. However, graphically, how I'm setting MC is equal to MR1, MC is equal to MR2, that we will discuss in the next class. Now, following these conditions, basically, we will derive output sold in the first market, output sold in the second market mathematically, because these are the first order conditions. So simultaneously solving these equations, these two equations, we will be able to find out Q1 star and Q2 star. And then for the second order condition, we need to check the principal minors of the Hessian determinant. Okay, principal minors of the Hessian determinants. Then I need to add a piece related to price elasticities, because I am talking many things regarding elasticities. I am telling that the necessary condition to apply this kind of price discrimination is price elasticity should be different in different markets. Okay, and for that matter, we will bring our known relationship between MR and price elasticity. MRI is equal to PI into 1 plus 1 by elasticity of demand in the ith market. I think all of you are familiar with this equation, the relation between marginal revenue and price elasticity of demand. Is it okay to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you did this in your first semester, you know, MR elasticity relationship. So we will use this relationship too to check how the elasticities are varying in different markets, how the elasticities are varying in different markets. Okay, so first we will solve the first order condition, then find out Q1 star, Q2 star, then we will derive the second order condition to establish the profit is a maximum profit, and then a small part we will add which is related to MR elasticity relationship. We will check that how, you know, the output will be distributed following the price elasticity of demand, you know, or how the price is charged following the price elasticity of demand. Okay, so a small piece we will add with which will be related to the price elasticity. Okay, so there is one exercise, you know, suppose that a monopolist supplies two countries, its own and foreign country. The inverse demand curve is given by P1 is equal to 100 minus Q1 and P2 is equal to 80 minus 2Q2, and the cost equation is Q1 plus Q2 whole square. So determine prices and quantities sold in each market. Also determine maximum profit. Okay, show that the monopolist charges higher price to the market with relatively inelastic demand. This part we will do in the next class. That monopolist will charge higher price in the market with relatively inelastic demand. But very fast, we will derive Q1 star, Q2 star, and pi star. Okay, so very first, please write down the two equations. P1 is equal to 100 minus Q1 and P2 is equal to 80 minus 2Q2. And looking at the two equations, you are understanding price elasticities are different in different markets, because del Q1 by del P1, del Q2 by del P2, this will be something different. So forget about elasticity. Write down these two equations very fast. P1 is equal to 100 minus Q1 and P2 is equal to 80 minus 2Q2. C is equal to Q1 plus Q2 whole square. Next, pi is equal to P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2. Pi is equal to P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2 minus C. Pi is equal to P1 Q1 plus P2 Q2 minus C. This is equal to 100 minus Q1 into Q1. That means 100 Q1 minus Q1 square plus 80 Q2 minus 2Q2 square minus, I am breaking this whole square, minus Q1 square minus Q2 square minus 2Q1 Q2. Because you will take derivative with respect to Q1 Q2, so it will be easier if you break the square. So I'm writing the cost equation as minus Q1 square minus Q2 square minus 2Q1 Q2. Everybody could write the pi equation? Is there anyone who could not write? Should I repeat it?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Pi is equal to 100 Q1 minus Q1 square, because I am writing P1 into Q1. So 100 Q1 minus Q1 square plus 80 Q2 minus 2 Q2 square, P2 Q2. So 80 Q2 minus 2 Q2 square. Then minus C. For minus C part, I am writing minus Q1 square minus Q2 square minus 2 Q1 Q2. That is, I am breaking the whole square. Arman, is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
So, everybody please find out del pi by del Q1. Please find out del pi by del Q1. Set that equal to 0. Del pi by del Q2, set that equal to 0. Del pi by del Q1 and del pi by del Q2, by first order condition, set both del pi 1 by del Q1 and del pi by del Q2 equal to 0. Got it? Simultaneously solving two equations, find out Q1 star, Q2 star.
Ma'am, got it. Q1 star is 22, Q2 star is 6.
Q1 star is
22.
22.
22 and 6.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Find out P1 star and P2 star then.
And 78 and 68.
78 and 68. Okay. And you will be able to find out pi star as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's stop here. And you check, you complete all the exercises. You check the discrimination from Pindyk and Rubenfeld. We will come back from this point. So Wednesday, we will try to complete all these issues. Okay, then we will move to multi-plant firm. Then we will talk about duopoly, Cournot duopoly. So all these things will come one by one. So by the way, everyone got the idea how to do the first order, second order, and find out the result?
Ma'am,